Disclaimer. If you are looking for extra money, extra income, and just want to do this as a side hustle, this video is not for you. Not at all. No, it's not going to be for you. This video is for those educators or someone who is looking to enter into the education field and want to make changes to a child's life for the better, for their future and longevity. So again, side hustle, extra money, just trying to play around with things. This video is not for you. Matter of fact, click on the next video. Okay, you're here? That means that you are serious. Okay, yay, I can rock with you. So for those of you who are looking into owning your own tutoring business, maybe want to grow your tutoring business, actually be legit, wanting to do it the right way, you've come to the right place, okay? First, I am Shannon. I am an educator, and I've been an educator for over 15 plus years. So I have been through every grade level, from pre-K all the way to college, and actually teaching and gaining experience. I've also been in my own business for over 9 years, going on 10 years. I'm so excited. So I am going to share with you through this series of how to start your business and what are some key things that you will need in doing so. Now, again, this is all my experience and what I have had to deal with trial and error, ups and downs, highs and lows, or I wouldn't say lows, but somewhat not highs, and everything. So I am doing this video and this series based out of personal experience of what I had to deal with. For you, it might be a little bit different, but this is a way to have a certain stepping stone and kind of like your digital mentor in a way, okay? So let's go ahead and start with this video. Like any business, you're going to have to do your research. Do your research in your area. If you are building a restaurant, or you are looking to have a laundromat, or even like we're talking about now, a tutoring business, you do have to look in the area to see what needs are already out there so you can fill them and get clients or gain clientele. So the first thing is to research your area. You can actually research your area online using Google. You can look online and see for your school district, what are the students struggling in. You can look up their assessment scores or that school's assessment scores. If they do state testing, what are some needs? You can also look at retention rates, the grades of the schools. Yes, schools actually have grades. You can see what needs that need to be filled. You also can look at not just your school district, but you can look at colleges and universities. If you're looking at tutoring for colleges or for adult education, you can actually look at other areas of what there is needed. If you are looking at college, universities, and looking at adult education, you are more likely looking at the websites and seeing what courses most people are taking. You can also look at social media. A lot of times I find clients that way when they are posting and looking for tutors during a specific grade level, or for a specific grade level, or subject content. You can also see different things, doing a survey and putting that out on social media as well, and seeing what parents need or what other college students need in their help. You can also look at, I wouldn't say competition, but other businesses that are similar, right? So if there are a lot of tutoring areas that are focusing on elementary and there's not enough that are focusing on middle school or high school, that might be something that is a need that you can fill. Now this brings me to my next point. After you do your research to see the need, now let's look at, are you able to fill that need? Okay? Identifying your niche, so to speak. So identifying your niche is actually seeing what expertise and what education you can provide for these students. For instance, when I started, the first thing is I did do my research and I looked at the need in the area. At the time when I started, there wasn't that many tutoring organizations in my area that, one, was affordable, and two, that actually met the needs of our students that really cultivate. Now, let me give you some background information on how I got started. So when I was actually in college pursuing my bachelor's degree in early childhood education, I was able to do practicums and go into the schools and do field hours where I was able to shadow teachers and students and see how everything ran in the classroom and what I can utilize and help and all of those different things, right? During the field experience. Now, during that time, of course, I'm early elementary, late elementary level, I was able to see what the needs were in the classroom. And a lot of times the students struggled really hard during that time and currently today with reading and reading comprehension, which also fell into math as well, especially when it went to third grade and they were starting to do word problems and they couldn't comprehend what they were reading, let alone trying to comprehend word problems and solving those word problems, not knowing what to actually do. So I use that information as, oh, this might help if I am able to work and fill in the gaps, because unfortunately in the classroom, most of the teachers had 15 to 20 students and they were trying to juggle all of these different things in different personalities, different needs within a short period of time in a reading block or trying to do small groups. It was a mess. And certain students, I wouldn't say it was a mess, sorry. It was a lot for the teacher, let's just say that. And certain students actually needed more help that the teacher at the time could not give because they needed more help and more attention and everything. And again, she had other students that she had to deal with. Hence, having an extra support, having extra tutoring for that parent might help that child fill in that gap and excel in class if it's outside the classroom. So I saw that as a need. The other thing was I did have, of course, experience, even before I became certified, had experience teaching and helping with students outside of the classroom. So I actually helped a lot of parents with middle school when it came to reading. I put two and two together. If they were struggling in elementary school and they were struggling in middle school with the same skill that they never got to a handle on or never got that gap filled, they were actually continuing to spread that gap. And I was able to help and hone in on the skills that they may have missed previous. Whoa, I solved a problem. And I was able to actually see that more students needed this problem to be filled, or this actual source that I can provide, right? So I was able to identify the niche, or identify the problem, and also I used my expertise in what I was learning in college with my personal experience, as well as just continuing on with my professionalism and actually working towards that goal, right? So what did I address when I first started my business was I only focused on what I already knew, which was first grade to 8th grade. So when I started my business, I only helped students within first grade to 8th grade. That was what I was most comfortable with. That's what I was experienced with. And that's what information that I knew that I could use to help those students. Also, there was a great need for students that were elementary to middle school at the time, and still currently today. So that is what I mean by identifying your niche. What are you have most experience of? What do you feel comfortable with as well? So if you are not into like young kids, phonics and all those different things, and doing hands-on learning, you still do that with older kids too. But what I mean is having the patience with younger kids, then that should not be your tutoring business. You should not have your tutoring to fill in the gap of the smaller kids. Even though that might be a need, you might not be in that position to fill it at this time. Now, if you have other, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but if you have other people that are going in with you on this, by all means, cover that need if they are experienced in that particular area. However, if you are not, do not go in that area if you don't have the expertise. The other thing is when you are looking at the subject areas, right? Some teachers are very, very good when it comes to math. So they would probably want to start a tutoring business with just focusing on math. However, if you are, and this is another tip or disclaimer, if you're not so good at reading, when I was younger, I struggled in reading comprehension. However, I wanted to bridge that gap for students because I saw it was a struggle as well. So guess what I did? I studied different strategies, how to make reading fun, how to make it interesting. What can I do, especially for our boys? What can I do to make it interesting and not so, blah, I don't want to read, this is boring, I don't know why I have to read this. I really studied it because I was that child. I did not like reading and I did not understand what I was reading. So after studying it and everything, guess what? I became the best reading teacher ever because I actually put that practice into play, right? So I always tell my student teachers, other teachers, even my students, the best teacher is the one who is the best learner or the greatest learner, right? If you are already a genius in your craft, and you already know this information, it's kind of hard for you to explain it to someone else because you're already a genius at it. And you might not have that empathy for other students and not understanding the material or not being able to comprehend. So make sure that you are learning as well or continuing to grow to help your students grow as well. After you find your niche, after you find what subject area, grade levels, what areas you want to fill in and address the needs, then let's talk about the name of your business. Now, this might be already in your head. Some people actually use their last name, like Miss Jones's Tutoring, or they might use, ABC Tutoring, which is totally fine. If you want to do something a little funky, that is fine too, or something that has more of a purpose. You can always use that information as well. But make sure that you name your business. Now, I would give one tip. When you're naming your business and you are thinking longevity and thinking of growth, that we'll talk about in just a moment, you may not want to name your business with elementary, middle school, or high school, or college in it. The only thing is, if you're going to continue to grow, unless you are, let me just put this out here, unless you are only focusing on that area, yes, by all means. But if you want to continue to grow and maybe expand your business to a certain grade level or a certain content area, then you may not want to have your business name to go with it, right? So if I were to continue with, I am Shannon's elementary tutoring, K through 5 tutoring. No, because actually I decided a few years later after starting my business to expand from kindergarten to 12th grade. So my name would have hindered and I would have to change it and change all the documentation and change all, too much. So make sure you think carefully about your business name. Now that you have your business or you're brainstorming your business name, I want you to start thinking about your location, okay? You can have it, of course, either in your city. You can have it if you see a need abroad. You can have your business located virtually so you can actually reach more students and more clientele. You can also have it even in a location or in a one place area. So when I started, I was living in an apartment and I thought about it really, really hard. Did I want other people in my space? And on top of that, I had a toddler at the time when I started my business. So at my home was not going to work. I found a location which was kind of okay. It did work in a way, but it was a small office space or office room, I should say, in an office building. way at the top or second floor, way in the boonies in the dark. It was a starting point. Let's just say that, okay? And it really did help and work for a short time period. We eventually moved to a house in a bigger space. My son got older, and I was able to use one of our rooms in our house for just tutoring. So students would come to my house to actually receive their tutoring, which was really, really good. I also, during that time, was using our local library as well to actually tutor my students. So they would split their time, either to my house or we'll go to the local library. Either way worked fine with the parents. After that, COVID hit, and I still wanted to reach my students, so I did virtual learning. That was a learning experience. It was a fun learning experience, but it was a learning experience nonetheless. However, I was able to reach students in another state as well as the current state that I am in. So that was a really, really good thing. I moved to just virtual to, of course, renting another office space that was much larger and in a very good location. However, things, and we'll talk about that in another video, for his clientele of seeing and researching, it wasn't very lucrative. I was spending more money in a location than actually using the location. So fast forward just a little bit, I eventually went to the clients' homes. So that is another option as well, going into the home and actually doing tutoring there. Really, really nice. However, you do, and we'll talk about it as well, but you do have to think about all of the things that you may not be able to control in that environment. I still did in-home, did virtual, and then we later got another office space that was in a great area, or currently still in a great area. And we were able to actually take away virtual and in-home because most of our students wanted to go to our office space. And then it was actually a little bit more helpful because we were in a controlled environment that we can actually control, have all of our materials there, and it's just more lucrative in that area. So again, think about the location that you want to start in and maybe eventually move into, or if you already have an office space in mind, think about all the pros and cons with it. What is around it? Is it somewhere people can see off the road? Is it easy to get there? Is it easy for you to get there and get, from where you need to go? Do you want to do in-home? Do you want to do virtual? Again, it's up to you. Think about all the pros and cons of those particular areas. We're going to talk about the type of business. So, types of businesses. There are so many different types of businesses that you can do. And first, I'm going to talk about the different types, okay, of entities that you can do. Now, you can, for myself, I did individual business, meaning that it's just me. No, I have a whole team, but when I started, it was just me, and it was okay. I am the only educator in my family at the time. So I'm the only one who is certified in education, the only one who has passion for education and love education. Everyone else in my family is business. So I didn't really want to go into it just thinking of business. I wanted to think of it more of education. So of course I could have, and no one really wanted to venture with me, just disclaimer, no one really wanted to venture with me because, again, it's education. They are not teachers and they didn't want to be attached to any children, which is totally fine. I understand completely. But you may have some people who are like that and they're just like, hey, I don't want to do that. Or you might have some educators who just want to stay in the classroom and want to, finish out the tenure and get their retirement and stuff. And that's totally fine too. And they don't want to venture out to actually do their own thing of tutoring. Totally fine. And I found that to be both true for my end, my friends as well as my family. So I started individually. There are other ways that you can do it. You can do a partnership, and I've known someone or a couple of people who were partners in their tutoring business and did exceptionally well. You can also think about if you would like to, I wouldn't say a co-op, but if there is a group of educators or a group of parents who want to build a business together, that's totally fine too. Think about what type of business that you would like to do. Would you like to do a partnership? Would you like to do it individually, or would you like to do it with a group? Now, the next thing is I decided to go the nonprofit route. So you have two routes that you can go: nonprofit or for-profit. Nonprofit, I wanted to do nonprofit because I thought of myself when I started my business of a single mom who wants to make sure my child had the best education possible and wanted to have those gaps filled in and not have to pay an enormous amount of money, okay? So therefore, I decided to do nonprofit so that way I can get grants in, I can get donations in to help with the amount of money that I was charging my parents. Now, I had to learn this: nonprofit does not mean free. Okay, you still can get money from parents, or you can still get money from clients that you're going to provide services for. However, you don't have to charge them a lot of money. Some people charge $60 an hour to $100 an hour, depending on the subject content. However, I felt as a nonprofit, I might can charge maybe $40 or $30 an hour and still give quality education or quality assistance to that particular child or that family parent. Hence, there you go. However, you can go the nonprofit route, and if you would like more information on how to go the nonprofit route, please go ahead and put comments below and I will make that video for you. However, nonprofit for me was a little bit a no-brainer. That's what I wanted to do. For-profit is a little bit different. Of course, the differences between nonprofit and for-profit. Nonprofit, you don't really have to pay taxes if you're under an amount of threshold. However, you still have to file every year to make sure that you stay within those realms of being a nonprofit. For-profit is a little bit different. It's more ran like a business. So you do have to, say your income and file those taxes and provide the money back to the government if you owe, or vice versa. So you would have to think about which realm do you want to go into. For profit, of course, you keep all the profits, you are good to go. As much money as you make, you get to keep all of that. Nonprofit, of course, it has to go back into the business some way, somehow. Doesn't mean that you end the year on a zero note and you have to spend all the money and make sure it goes somewhere. But you do have to make sure that it goes back into the business or back into the services. It also means that you can still pay yourself as an employee and still get some type of income. However, your business is a little bit different and it has to rotate through. Okay? Again, if you want more information, send me a comment or a message below. I got you. Now, you have to also think about, with everything in mind, the end in mind. I know you haven't even started your business. Why am I thinking about the end in mind? Well, I always like to plan with the end in mind. What do your business, or what do you see your business doing 10, 15, 20, 30 plus years from now? What goals and objectives do you want to have in your head at that particular time? Think about all of those different things. Yes, you have the need, but also what are your objectives? Do you want to eventually have more businesses? Do you eventually want to have a program where, yeah, I started out with elementary, now I want to go to the college realm or test prepping realm or anything like that? What is your end game in mind? Once you have those in mind within your brainstorming process, it does help you see what areas you need to have. So having your end goal in mind, you can actually chunk down what you need to have in order to get to that big goal, okay? So That's a key point to have. You have thought of everything when starting. This is your brainstorming part of the business. Now for our next video, we're going to be talking about the other brainstorming part of the business that is a little bit more focused on how you're going to run your tutoring business. This will include your planning, how you're going to do your curriculum, where to start with your curriculum, assessments, how are you going to organize your documents, what documents do you even need before you even start tutoring and starting your business. All the different things that you need before you actually have a student in front of you or students in front of you and teaching. What are those things that you need to think about when planning and actually working your tutoring business? So that's for the next video. Again, if you like this video, like, subscribe, and actually share with your partner, your future partner, your future colleagues, even someone who may want to start their own tutoring business. Share this video with you. Until next time, keep learning and loving. I'll see you soon.